In this daily drop, I'm going to talk about why I unfortunately cannot endorse the Hollyland Lark M2S system. So let's go. All right, everybody, officially back in the barn from NAB 2025. Good to be home and back in the studio. And today I'm going to talk about something that I don't normally do here on the channel. In fact, normally when I have products sent to me from manufacturers or from B&H, because they will send stuff to me for short periods of time so I can create content in and around those products. If I get something that I ask for that I'm interested in, and that product does not perform the way I expect it to, I don't make episodes about why I don't like a product. I don't bash the product or that category. I also don't do comparisons. And as you know on this channel, I generally don't do reviews. I'm more interested in how can you use a product rather than what are all the specs of the product. And if I'm going to talk about the specs, I'm going to talk about why you would use that particular feature in a product. That's just what this channel is. So, it's not very often that I get a product that I'm going to create an episode for that I'm going to say, I probably would not recommend that you get it. And in this case, unfortunately, mainly because I've actually created content in and around it already, I have to do that. So this is the Hollyland Lark M2S system. It comes in a few different configurations, but generally you have a receiver that is capable of being used with USB-C devices. They have versions of these kits that have lightning connectors. You have a receiver here, which is the main one that I've used, which has a 3.5 millimeter jack, and you can attach this to a camera. And then you have the transmitters themselves. And one of the things that's very attractive about this system is the transmitter microphone unit is very, very low profile, low key, discreet, doesn't have a logo. You get the basic idea. And you've probably heard about this, and I'll put a link to the episode I did about it. But when I did the episode, I recorded audio from it and let you decide whether or not you thought it would be a product that you would use. Now, there is some sort of noise reduction type of technology in here. Generally, I found that for me personally, the only system that has been reliable is what I have in the Sound Devices MixPre 2 series, which you can use on some of their higher end mixer recorders as well. And that was not the case with this. I didn't like the way it was handling the real-time noise reduction for ambient noise. But I thought the product was, for the price, a good product. And it wasn't something that I felt like saying, I don't think you should get it. And in fact, like I said earlier in the episode, I probably wouldn't have even made the episode if I thought it was something that I wouldn't recommend. Now, at NAB last day, I decided to shoot a, sort of NAB thoughts, tariff thoughts, whether or not you should buy equipment right now thoughts video. I set up in my hotel room before I headed to the airport. I had my camera, the C80, same camera I'm using here, about 2 to 3 meters away. So probably somewhere in the 6 to 10 feet distance from me. Nothing unusual. I took the receiver from the unit and standard 3.5 millimeter cable that came with it, tip ring sleeve, so TRS cable. Plugged that into the C80, dialed in all my levels, did a test record, very important to make sure everything was fine, and it was. And then I said, okay, we're off to the races, time to shoot an episode of Daily Drop, which I did. One take episode. I think I rolled for about 8 to 10 minutes long. Don't know exact length. Brought the footage in to Final Cut Pro, did my standard, a little bit of a compressor, a little bit of voice isolation just to take any ambient noise out of there, but nothing in that environment that was unusual at all that should have interfered with something like a 2.4 gigahertz system. It's not like my phone was right by everything, whatever. There's nothing about that environment. It wasn't like the Las Vegas Convention Center that should have interrupted or affected that signal. it was affected. When I brought the footage in, let's just say I had the entire episode, the last quarter of the episode definitely had problems. In fact, that particular episode, 429, which I'll also put a link to, at the end of the episode, it's kind of abrupt because I had to figure out a cut point where I could get out of it getting really bad. It was already starting to degrade really bad and then come back up with the closer, don't forget to, blah, blah, blah. So a real problem, a problem that makes me say, this is not something that I'm ever going to use again. In fact, if you want to hear this, I'm going to play it anyway. I'm going to dip to black. We're going to hear it with and without voice isolation, and then I'll come back. I know it seemed like I was wrapping up, but I do have one more thought here. And that's basically that, like, for instance, the PTZ pan tilt zoom camera systems now are becoming very sophisticated. I saw a setup from Canon where they had multiple cameras. They have new software that's going to be released this year where it will auto track, it will auto frame. You can tie it in with a controller and then have a stream deck with macros for presets and all of this stuff. Kind of mind-blowing. And while that's going to solve some problems for, let's say, more traditional broadcast style setups where control rooms that used to have 15 or 20 people. So there you go. To me, that's no bueno. That's a no-go for me on a product. And again, I don't normally do this. If I had gotten this product in and done some tests originally, brought the footage in, and listened to the audio that was recorded from this, and I had that problem originally, I would have packed this thing up and just sent it back to B&H, and that would have been the end game. That wasn't the case, and I didn't have an issue with that. And I have no idea why the signal was relatively good to fine at the beginning, and then towards that last quarter of what I was recording degraded the way it did. But it did, and that means I'm not using this thing ever again. Now, there's other products that Hollyland makes that may be perfect. They just came out with, I believe, the M2 Mark II version of their product. That might be fantastic. But again, what really attracted me to this particular thing, and a lot of people, is you didn't have a visible logo on the microphone side. It's just very, very discreet. And I had it just out of frame in about the same position as I have it here. Nothing out of the ordinary. And also fully charged, because I would expect on a system like this, when the batteries start to go, that some weird things could happen. This was first time used in terms of fully charged units when I shot that episode. So there's no chance that the batteries were low on the device. It's unfortunate because I really like what this product is, but if it's not going to be reliable, and again, I'm not the type of person that would do comparisons or trash something, but in this case, I just can't recommend this particular product in terms of being used, even in a YouTuber, creator, influencer type of space. There's no excuse. We should have clean audio. It's one of the most important things to production. So if I'm not getting that, I wouldn't use this on a client professional production to begin with, but if I can't even do it for something like the Daily Drop, it doesn't matter how inexpensive it is, I can't use the product. I don't think you're going to see many of these on the channel, but I did feel it was my responsibility, after having created an entire episode about this product, to let you know what happened this time around. There you go. Don't forget to. And I'll see you on the next episode of The Daily Drop.